So, to coincide with the opening day of the EICMA show in Milan, Honda today announced a raft of new models and upgrades to their existing lineup for 2025. In this video, I'll be looking specifically at the revisions made to their two big-selling Transalp 750 and NC750X bikes. Now, regular viewers will know that I ran a Mark I 2022 Transalp last year and really liked it, but I was keen this morning on receiving the press release to see if some of its much reported shortcomings had been addressed in this facelift. If you're only here for the Transalp, then feel free to skip ahead in the timestamps below, because I'd first like to take a quick look at the new NC750X. A little bird told me a couple of months ago that this model was going to get a slight market repositioning and was going to be relaunched as the NT750. And it does now look more like a baby NT1100 than, say, the slightly more adventure-focused NX500, and that's no bad thing. The recently revised NT1100 looks better than the original, which I always found very bland, and now this new NC looks more exciting than the previous generation, especially in this new green paint scheme. That said, I don't think it suits the NC quite as well as it did on the now defunct CB500X that I tested 3 years ago, but it's still probably the colour I'd go for. But if you don't fancy that, you've also got the choice of white, red and black. Now, it always makes me smile when I see the different things that different people prioritise when looking for bikes. I have a friend here who has a previous generation NC750X back in the UK, and he's been waiting for news of this new model for the last few months. I forwarded the press release to him this morning as soon as I received it, and he came back to me very happy because the seat height is unchanged at 800mm. Oh right, okay. The first thing I looked for on the spec sheet was the engine power, which is also unchanged, unfortunately. Thing is, my friend is short and light while I'm tall and heavy, so we each have different priorities. I can't know what you're looking for, but as a quick overview, this new NC is getting a redesigned front end and headlight, 5-inch TFT colour display that was rolled out, I think, on the Transalp 2 years ago and has since been fitted to just about every new Honda. It's legible, but some of the minor information is a bit hard to read because it's so small, but we'll see with this iteration. The use of something Honda is calling DuraBio, which is their name for the use of recycled material in the bodywork, which is always a good thing, although slightly oddly, at least according to the press release, only on the green and black paint schemes. Don't really know why that should be. There's a new seat skin with added stitching and the option of a comfort seat, as well as emergency flashing of the rear indicators in the event of heavy braking. Nothing new in terms of the engine, so we're still talking a relatively modest power output, at least for a 750, of 58 horsepower and 69 newton meters of torque, but at least this is available from just 4,750 RPM. 4 rider modes: standard, sport, rain and user, nice to have I suppose, but maybe not essential with less than 60 horsepower on tap. DCT is still offered as an option, and for 2025 it's been revised to apparently offer smoother starting from standstill. The chassis seems unchanged with a curb weight of 216 kilos in manual guise and 226 if you opt for the DCT, and seat height, as my friend was pleased to see, remains at a very manageable 802mm, although this may increase a little, I suppose, with the comfort seat option. In terms of accessories and options, there's a resin rear rack, a centre stand, 50-litre top case with optional 25-litre inner bag, an aluminium top box panel, top box cushion for the pillion, side panniers, fog lights, hand guards, adjustable screen, comfort seat for rider and or pillion, heated grips and a USB-C charger. As for the pricing, well, I couldn't find any information on Honda's UK or Portugal websites, but on the French side, there's actually a substantial price drop of 850 euros, at least on the DCT model. No information on the manual. So Honda seem to be continuing with the trend they started a couple of years ago with the Hornet 750 of hyper-aggressive pricing. Not sure how sustainable this will prove to be in the long term, but at least for the moment, it's good news for the consumer. So onto the Transalp. Have they corrected the much decried shortcomings of the first generation? Has it been tweaked to perfection? Well, in a word, no. The weird headlight has gone in favour of a sort of mini version of the Africa Twin's scowling eyes, which do look better in my opinion, but I think they could do to be 25% bigger, and the plastic surround would look better in my opinion if it was colour coded. The colourways are much better though. We still have the very popular white, blue and red, almost identical to the bike I had, but with slightly larger Transalp lettering on the tank. But we now also get the dark grey and silver, which are considerably enlivened by some nice decals and gold rims, which do look great. Most unfortunately, Honda hasn't seen fit to give us tubeless rims, and whilst this doesn't bother me personally too much, I know from reading all the comments on my Transalp videos last year that it does put off many potential buyers. They've missed a trick here. People may not need tubeless, but they think they do. They want tubeless, and so Honda should have given it to them. The CF Moto 450 MT, which costs only €6,000, the Transalp is getting on for double that, gets tubeless as standard, and Royal Enfield offers tubeless rims as an option on the similarly priced Himalayan for a couple of €100. Honda, that's a marketing miss. Another disappointment is that there's still no cruise control. Now, I understand that Honda wants us cruise control lovers to upgrade to the Africa Twin, but that's a big ask financially for something they could probably have integrated into what is really a road-stroke touring bike that can venture off-road if asked to do so for, what, €150, €200? Again, a bit like the quick shifter, which is still an option, cruise control isn't strictly necessary, but many are put off buying a Transalp because of this oversight. I have another friend here who bought a Transalp back in March of this year, and coincidentally he messaged me just this morning to tell me he's thinking of getting rid of it because he misses the cruise control that he has on his other bike, a BMW K1600. Honda, you're usually so good at giving people what they want, but you've kind of messed up with the tubeless and the cruise thing. There are aftermarket solutions, of course, and I was sent an electronic cruise control kit for my Transalp, but I decided against installing it because I was advised by my Honda dealer that splicing into the brake cable, part of the installation process, would invalidate my warranty and potentially my insurance. Other changes to the Transalp for next year include revised switchgear, a 4-way toggle which is backlit, looks good, but it looks a bit on the small side for my sausage thumb, but I'll reserve final judgment until I get to try one. Tweaks to the dash, hope they haven't got rid of the magnificent grip angle, but from what I can see the various rider modes still don't allow you to completely deactivate ABS and traction control. Now, I'm still quite inexperienced off-road. I've never been off the asphalt before moving down here to southern Portugal 4 years ago, and when I failed miserably to keep up with the other riders in the local gravel road club, even with the bike in gravel mode, I naturally assumed it was my lack of skills and more or less gave up off-roading altogether. But then I got the Triumph Tiger 900, and despite having almost no additional experience and a heavier bike, I now find the going much easier off-road thanks to the ability to switch off all the electronics when I take the Tiger off-road. Electronic aids are decried by many owners as being unnecessary and overly intrusive, but they have helped me to learn the ropes and gain confidence. So it's a shame that Honda doesn't seem to have addressed this with the new Transalp. In terms of accessories, we now get these semi-rigid panniers and this tail bag, which I think do suit the Transalp's lines and vocation better than the rigid cases that we got previously, and which are still available, I think. They were originally designed for the more executive-styled NT1100 and somehow just didn't look right on the Transalp. Now, I don't know if it's just this photo, but the side panniers seem to be mounted quite far forward. It almost looks as though the pillion's legs or even the rider's hips will make contact, but I'm sure they've thoroughly tested this. No mechanical changes to the bike as far as I can see, although they do talk about softer suspension in the press release, which is a bit odd as I always found the previous generation suspension too soft anyway. So the new Transalp is basically new colours, which it was in desperate need of, to be fair, new face and a tweaked dash, but still no tubeless or cruise. So all in all, While it is undoubtedly better than before, I am a little disappointed that the two most common complaints that I got on this channel about the Transalp don't appear to have been addressed. Oh well, fingers crossed for the 2027 model year. Let me know if they've done enough to tempt you, and as always, thanks for watching.